We've got breaking news out of Major League Baseball where Jacob deGrom will miss his start on opening day. An MRI on deGrom's throwing shoulder showed a stress reaction in his right scapula. The two-time Cy Young winner will be shut down for 4 weeks, at which point he'll undergo another MRI on his shoulder. deGrom has been limited to 15 starts or fewer in each of his past 2 seasons. For more on this, let's now welcome in CBS Sports HQ baseball analyst, the former MLB executive Jim Bowden. Jim, we all got nervous when deGrom reported that shoulder tightness. Now he's set to face significant time, at least a month out. How big is a blow? How big of a blow is this? There we go, to the Mets.
Yeah, it's a dramatic blow for the Mets and obviously for Jacob deGrom. I think it's good news that it is a stress reaction to the right scapula, not a fracture. I think that's good news. That's a little bit better. They say the tendons and the ligaments around the shoulder are all intact, so that's good news as well. But he's going to be shut down for quite some time. And, you talk about waiting a month, and then they're going to look at the pictures again and see how that reaction has healed. Best case scenario, maybe 4 to 6 weeks from now, he gets back on the mound if everything went perfectly. And then they're going to take their time because they're going to have to with deGrom. Then it's going to take another 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, I think we're looking at July now at the earliest, probably around the All-Star break, if everything went well for deGrom. So for him, obviously, personally, a big setback. But if they can get him healthy and he has a strong second half and the Mets can stay in the race between now and then, the Mets may come out all right. But I think initially when you look at this thing, it's a huge setback for the Mets team.
Got off to a great start last year, then of course had the elbow problems which sidelined him for the second half. Manager Buck Showalter had designed this rotation to give his starters 5 days between starts, so give them plenty of rest. So now how does this affect the rotation?
Yeah, so obviously this means Max Scherzer will end up being the opening day starter. And then, of course, you've got Chris Bassett, Carlos Carrasco, Taijuan Walker, and then the question mark. Now, Billy Epler said about 10 minutes ago that this injury isn't going to make him have any more urgency to trade for a starting pitcher, that he feels that he can solve it in-house, although he did not tell us what pitcher's next in line to be their next starter, but that's what it sounds like. I wouldn't rule out the possibility of making a trade, but I'm also not sure they want to actually go over that $300 million threshold either. But this is a Mets team that, look, I had the Braves winning the division this year anyway over the Mets, but I had it being a great race because of Scherzer and deGrom. But this injury here, to me, pushes the Mets back a little bit further from the Braves. But more importantly, it opens the door, I think, for both the Phillies and the Marlins for the first half of the year to be able to stay in this race with the New York Mets, and we may end up having maybe a better pennant race than we thought we were going to have. Expanded playoffs are going to help for sure, but this is a huge setback for New York.
Is there anybody that jumps to mind, Jim, in terms of who would join the rotation with deGrom out for such an extended period?
Well, I think the obvious one that everyone's going to talk about is circling back to Oakland and seeing if there isn't a way they can't get Frankie Montas or Sean Manaea from the Oakland A's. The A's continue their fire sale. They continue to talk to teams on both pitchers. At this point, they haven't found a match, haven't traded them, but they do like a lot of the players in the Mets farm system. The question is Billy Epler willing to trade more in his farm system to try to make a deal and add another pitcher? It didn't sound that way a few minutes ago.
deGrom said going into this season that he had planned to opt out after this year and become a free agent. How could this affect those plans?
Well, that's a great question because I think if he comes back healthy, pitches a great second half, pitches the Mets into the postseason, I think he still opts out. But obviously, if this injury ends up being worse, if the ligament isn't healing in the elbow, I mean, a lot of things can happen where his best option may be not to opt out since he's got a guaranteed contract.
He is former MLB executive Jim Bowden joining us to discuss the sidelining of Mets starter Jacob deGrom for at least the foreseeable future. Jim projecting possibly the next 4 to 6 weeks. And of course, they'll be talking about this. Hey, if you've got him in your fantasy lineup, you're going to be wanting to listen to Fantasy Baseball Today for options. You heard Jim talk about it there. Best case scenario, maybe we're looking at the All-Star break for deGrom. So you want to know who to put in there. Download and follow Fantasy Baseball Today wherever you get your preferred podcasts.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.